Howdy lovelies, how are you all doing? Welcome back to our crafting where we learn, grow and craft together. In today's session we are going to continue with that little collage card that I started off in the last tips and tricks session, and I want to show you what we do with that. I don't know if you're like me, but I have like so many PhDs that's lying around. PhDs, projects half done. I'm sure you're all familiar with that. I try to these days to start and finish a project, though I still have probably 1,001, if not more, that is just still undone and after long periods of time. So let's dive right into finishing off that little card and make something of it. So just to recap, for the last one I showed you how to do the collage, starting with the focal point, and then replace the other things. Now you will agree with me that this looks a little bit boring with a linear placement, but it helps to get you going with your collage setup and placement of your little things that you want to add. I added a little stamp here at the bottom just to pull in the numbers a little bit more. So what do we do with the rest of us? This is page cardstock. There's a bit of stamping there, not a train smash. We need to do something with it. I'm thinking about making a pocket with this, and for that I will just add another piece of this cardstock, going to fold it as well. It can really be quite interactive that way. We can attach it this way with maybe washi tape so that it can fold in, and then use a part of this on that side to make the pocket. So let's see, I'm going to fold this in half, more or less like the previous one, and we just have to cover this. Now if I attach this one, this will fold in, and that will just be too much. So we can make it like a tiny folio, and I'm just going to slice this down a bitty, just so that we have that freedom. Now before I do that, I'm going to just score this on this line just a tiny little bit using my ruler and the scoring tool, just a little bit in there, not too much. Yes, you could use a scoring board for this. Going to fold this over so that I have that fold, just burnishing it well so that we have that, and that will guide us. Now with this, I'm just going to put it back where it was, in other words, line it up, and I'm just going to cut a tiny little bit off this. Now you will see, because it's scored and folded, it doesn't want to fold properly. I'm just going to cut off a tiny bit just to give us that leeway. Let me just check, get the thought together. This will fold and that will come in. See, it needs to be shorter that side, not necessarily this side. If I snip it off there, and this needs to be shorter, that needs to be shorter. Not working right now. Okay, let's do it this way. See, I never have a plan for these things. It just evolves as we go on. So just going to cut off a tiny little bit from this side, and you know by now I never throw these strips away. That can become sentiments eventually when I work off the craft, or the scrap box rather than craft box, just to have that to fold properly. This one, if we fold this one over, it will be too long, so I'm going to cut a tiny bit of this side as well, not a full centimeter, but I do want it shorter. It will just take away the bulk from the fold. Now you can just cover it with paper, and that way have it glued together, all the inside pieces. We fold it over, it should now fit in properly, and it is shorter. So this will be like a little pocket. Well, I can't really say at this point. I will add a bit of washi tape just to reinforce this, so that when we cover it with paper, it will be more sturdy. I'm going to add the washi tape before I glue down the paper, so that one, it's not visible. Not that it's ugly washi tape or anything, I just don't like the look of it on my completed project, though it is actually kind of cute. I'm now in two minds. should I cover it or not? And it is textile, so it should be fine. I'm going to just take the backing off. And just that little snap there to sort out the washi tape. So now our project is joined. I rather like that. I must say I was in 2 minds about it, but I kind of like that. Some paper. Remember, this is how it will be. This will be the orientation. So it will fold like that, and that way, a little bit thicker. As you can see, it is coming out at the bottom, a tiny little bit at the bottom and top, which is telling me that needs just a tiny bit of trimming. Just that little slither, and I'll do that at the bottom as well. Just a tiny little bit. And it's the way that it's folding that makes that bit show. And it might just ruin the appearance of the project. That should be better now. It keeps going out. I wonder why. But there we have it. That washi tape is fraying a bit. Just fraying a bit. Alright. Now to cover this, I want a pocket there. And this can become a pocket. Another pocket. Could have another pocket. This can really honestly become anything at this point. The options are really... I wouldn't want to cover that. That's a beautiful image to add to any vintage project. This will be a pocket, so I want to maybe trim it down so we don't have to cover the whole thing. And the inside, we will not see the inside anyway. So for this, that is kind of nice, but we need to cover this part because that will be, if we cut that one, then we will lose a bit of that. So let's see. I just want to draw a line, and I was hoping for a rounded edge. So basically I'm going to trim this part till there, then come in with this, and we will just fill that down. There we go. So you can see how I've cut that. This doesn't have to be covered, but that needs to. So I'm going to just glue this on, and we're going to add the glue to the side. Position the paper before we do anything else to it. Where is that paper of mine? Plastic. And I almost glued it down upside down. That would have been disastrous, like truly disastrous. But in crafts, and especially journaling, there's no such thing as a disaster. If you don't like what you're doing, you can always come back and redo it at a later stage, or add to it, change the look. Nothing is a constant in art and craft. And there we have that piece that can be used for a later project. Now, there you have the pocket coming on nicely. I just need to cover the inside. So for this, I kind of like that part of it. And we will fold it. Just want to see. Glue again. Just be careful now. Just glue to the edge of that washi tape. That's why I like to first glue down the paper before adhering anything, or adhering the washi tape is what I should rather say. Now there's a bit of glue this side, so where is my little eraser? A bit of glue on there as well. It will be covered so it's not a big issue. I just want to trim the edge of that that's showing there, and then we will fix the inside. Tiny little bits like this can really affect the overall appearance of your project. And for this one, we need to fold this in so we can trim the side. And you can see that the washi tape is really coming loose there, so we might have to just add a bit of glue in a moment or so to just help it adhere properly. But for now, just to fold it over so we don't cut our washi tape. So this washi tape now will be glued down underneath this paper, and it's fine. I was going to trim it off, and then I decided, no, I'll just glue it down on there, helping that to stay and not come undone again. I'll lift this up, seeing that it so easily lifts, and put glue on, and then adhere my little piece. Now I got myself confused as to where this one should be going. I hope it's making perfect sense. We can still reposition it, I guess, a little bit closer to that edge. There we go. That will be better. And then it will be glued down properly. There's a bit of that one paper, and oh, I got it skew now. That truly skew. This will fold over. So let's just do that scoring line again with a paper, because it doesn't now know where to fold. It will give us just a tiny little bit of space. Just guide it there where to fold, as it's got the layer of paper over it. So we can glue that down just at the bottom, and there if you really want to. I'll just take some Collage Medium, as it's got this very fine tip nozzle, and it will help to glue it down. So just a thin bit of, there we go, just a thin sliver of glue, and just a bit on the side. Put that down, then it's easier. I need to fill up the bottle again. And there's our pocket in the making. Now to free up time, hands, to carry on, I will be clamping this down, which is an easy way to save your hands for another part of the project. Now here we can add some pink, which is from what I used the other night. I tore some, you will remember, there's some pieces of that pink there, which was torn off the side. So, pink and the brown, I kind of like that. Or maybe this side, and add another color there, which this is just a little bit short. Pity. It's a pity that it is just too short to cover that whole area. We can easily do something on top, or I can simply just grab another piece of paper. So this new piece of paper is this one. I'll be gluing that down. I kind of like that look of it. We can trim it. I'll just put glue up to the edge. How will I do that or ensure that? By folding this over. That way I won't have glue on the edge. Make sure we have enough glue right to the edge there. And I'm going to place this down, making sure it touches at the bottom. Oh, and look, I moved it. Burnish it well. That way you know it will actually adhere quickly. This should be done. I'll take off the clips to make it easier to manage this. And this little, there we go. We'll just ink that from this little bit of paper at the bottom, which is always welcome in collages, making tickets. There we go. So we've got that paper. This has been glued down, kind of like that. We just have to trim this little strip at the end, which is where the glue stopped. We didn't add glue on that edge. And we still have these sides to actually cover with paper. So that's the inside. This will fold over and it will close like that. So we're not done. We are not done yet. We have this little piece of paper, cardstock that was left from the other. We can actually make a little pocket from that. I'll just trim this down, as I don't particularly like that angle. That's a bit awkward, so let's round it properly. And maybe round this one too. Let's see. It fits in nicely, which is amazing. Now to cover that with some paper, you know the drill, but we need to also cover that side. That is too short. We could have, but it's not going to fit, because I'll show you. let's put that one down like I had it so that you can see what I mean with that. And it is that little bit too short to cover the paper, the base. And if I add this, yes, that part can cover, but we're still missing that strip. So I'll just cover this or this part. Just making sure there's glue right to the edges. And then we'll line this up so that we can actually cover it properly, burnish it, and that's an easy way to actually get the paper to glue down properly. You can also just press it with your hands. You don't have to have a bone folder. And that little scrap, this can be used for collages. Before we can glue this one down, we need to just ink the edges. There should still be enough ink on my ink blending tool. It doesn't have to be dark brown. I just want that little bit of color there. And I want to see if I'll just ink it up. Just a bit of stamping on it. And there we have it. Just a tiny little bit. Just works. Let me just put the stamp down there. Now we need paper to cover this. It worked with that because we had that little bit. I see this one is lifting. So let me just put a bit of glue there so that we can have a project that stays together and not fall apart. So we still have quite a bit to cover here. This is pulling apart, I see. So I'm going to pull this a little bit more and I'll show you what I do. Audience, here we come. My nozzle is not the finest step, so there will be spillage, but we can easily rectify that. Just wipe it up quickly before it dries. Work on here, squeeze out the excess, and we're going to cover that anyway. Yes, my fingers are brown from the ink, so it's smeared there, but we will be covering that, which is fortunate. Otherwise, we would have had a spoiled project now. So this should now glue down without opening up again, and it should sort itself after we put the glue on the back to cover it with paper, more paper. I'll just run my bone folder across here just to help the process along so that it can really glue down well. Paper for this one, let's see. It needs to go quite a ways. I think a bit of vintage paper will be perfect. I've got this from some language book. I think I will be using this. I think it's quite nice. And I'll just trim. Yes, that will be beautiful for some tickets and stuff. So again, just a bit of glue so that we can actually glue this down. And I'll just move this up so that I can get glue right to the edge and there. Now this needs to be glued down right to the edge and there. That is it. Yes, it is a bit fragile. I moved it a bit. So there's a strip of cardstock showing. Same thing. We'll bend this over to trim this. We'll still ink all those edges. See, it was torn, so there we have that for the next project. I just want to see at the bottom here. There we go. And a bit there. Don't want any of the paper to hang over. So there might be this little slithers. This is making my project cool now for a second. But once it's dry, it should be able to go flat. The inside is covered. I just want to make sure the edges are inked properly. I want this a little bit darker than I had done it previously. Just a tiny little bit. And on the edge. There we go. And we're going to glue that down for a perfect little pocket. So on two sides, just a thin line of glue should do. You use whatever glue you have. Those that have it, fabric tech, or what's that other one, art glitter glue. I still don't see myself paying in excess of almost 100 dirhams for a bottle of art glitter glue, because yes, it needs to be imported, and then it's the import taxes, its delivery fee, I just don't see myself, especially with the amount of glue that I use. In one of my previous videos, what is a craft as big as fear? Or what is your fear as big as fear as a crafter? Mine is to run out of glue. Because the other day, I almost had a fit because as I opened my glue, I was like, oh, there's no glue, and I could find another tube. So that was wonderful and fortunate, but that is my biggest fear, is not to have any glue. Now this one is working out, so let's go. We're going to add some glue here. What will I use? Will it be book page? This was from DGNSVG Designs. I like that. I like the music notes. It actually ties in really well. It doesn't all have to be the same. So let's do that. I'm going to cover this. Again, starting right at the edge to get your glue there. Where's my plastic? It just makes it faster. We will move it now, just to ensure we don't have any glue this side of this paper on the work surface, I mean to say. There we have it. And there's some thick. Now just make sure you get your paper wherever it needs to be. Furnish it. And our project is covered. Now there's a bit of glue, sadly, but luckily we can still fix it because it's not yet dry. First it looks as if it makes a mess, and then you will see, oh, it's actually off, which is just amazing. And it's just a normal pencil eraser that I use, but your glue must still be wet. So from this, you might have to trim a little bit more because I glued this a bit skew. And I see I never use the pink. The pink is still here, but it's okay. Not a problem. So our project is covered all over. It just now needs to fold. So we'll guide it there. And maybe that was a bit skew, so let's just do it that side. And there we have it, a tiny little project that started off showing you my process to use for doing collage. Starting with a focal point. I'll just close the glue before it dries out completely. Inking tool. And the top. Yes, we can do the side. I still see a bit of paper there, so I'm going to pull this back a tiny bit and just trim. There's a bit of extra paper there. And I never inked this edge. I see now that we can still do the top of it on this edge, the sides, the top where we and the bottom. And there you can see that I trimmed it quite skew, so I'll just redo that. Turn it over and ink this edge, bottom. Let's go right around, and then we'll come back to the edge of this one to do this part. And you can add more pockets if you want, but that is where I will stop with this one. Just want to get this one to lay flat, which it won't completely because it's thick, and there we have that one. A tiny little pocket. You can now go and add anything. Just use this little picture as an example. That can be a beautiful journal spot. We can cover it with paper, at the back, cardstock, add a little tag. What do we have here? Oh, these ones are not covered, but they can go in there. Nice journal card, whatever you decide. You can add some paper here as a little notebook if you want. There's so much that you can do. You can even add a little pocket this side, another one this side, or a side tuck, a belly band, any of that type of stuff you can add to this little project. It's a bit of a long one, well, longer as usual, but there we have it. Thanks for joining me today. Please go try something similar for yourself. And I say similar specifically because even if I have to try and redo exactly this very same project, it will be different. So go try for yourself. And if you do, please tag Wawa Crafting on social media. If you want to see more content like this, give me a thumbs up. And as always, I'll appreciate it if you subscribe to my channel too. If you haven't done so yet, hit that notification bell so that you can be notified whenever I upload new content. See you back soon. Goodbye.